Well, let's be real. South Carolina is a red state, so why does it have some of the bluest Republicans in the Senate? Paul Dans joins us now with a big announcement. He's running as a challenger to South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. So, Paul, thanks so much for joining us here today. So let's just get into it. Why did you decide to run for Senate?
For our children. We need representation in the United States Senate that actually reflects the people of South Carolina. We don't need a 70-year-old childless warmonger. We have to rebuild this country. We have to save it. And we are going to do that through South Carolina values. Lindsey Graham's time is up. He's completely disconnected with people here on the ground. And it's getting to a point where it's very dangerous for us to continue this way.
Let's talk about good old Lindsey Graham. I mean, this guy has survived for years on name ID, and he's well known nationally. This is someone who has pushed military intervention and a number of other things, but then he seems to come back on TV and say, I want to say the opposite, but he says different things, right, over time. Why do you think he does that?
Look, he's always been a deep state operative. Sometimes he'll back up. This past Sunday, he was on the morning shows and basically completely flummoxed when showing his responses from 2017. He was one of the original Russiagate hoaxers, and now we're supposed to believe that he wants to get to the bottom of it. This is a guy who cheerleaded every major international intervention over the last 20 years. His record is 3 endless wars, and he wants to start a 4th, World War III, by putting boots on the ground in Iran. How does he get away with it? He gets away with it because until me, he's never had a legitimate challenger. And this is going to stop. We're standing up. We're going to liberate South Carolina from the clutches of the deep state. This is curtains for Lindsey, and it's Sunset Boulevard at this stage.
I mean, he's opposed some of Trump's most aggressive executive reforms. He's flipped on, key issues. Yet he always tries to say that he's MAGA. I mean, that's frustrating, I think, to many in our audience who, they have real problems with Lindsey Graham and would like to see a challenger. But he maintains that he's MAGA.
Look, I, for one, I've been MAGA since, before the escalator. I was hoping he ran in 2012. For MAGA to look at Lindsey Graham, there is no amount of lipstick you can put on that man to make MAGA fall for him. It's just, we look at him and say, no, dude, that is a rhino. And as much as he, golfing with Trump aside, he can't resist, running off to a foreign country with a dictator and cheering on bombs. It's like in South Carolina, you know how we spend Sunday morning? We go to church. That's what we do. When I get out of church, I get another push notification that Lindsey is advocating to drop bombs in another part of the world. And it's just completely disconnected. And the reality is he really is the deep state kind of tool here in South Carolina.
Well, your opponents are trying to go out there and push a media narrative of, oh, this is going to be a short-lived race. So what's your response to them?
Look, God's on our side. We are moving forward with this. This race is going to prosecute Lindsey Graham. And in the immortal words of Andrew Breitbart, we're going to vet him this time. And the bottom line is that people are done with Lindsey. He can't get on a stage with Trump down here without being drowned out by booze. You saw that in 2024 in Pickens. You go to Somerville, you go to Columbia, it's always the same story. The boos are getting louder. The polling shows that he's completely underwater, and even President Trump's endorsement, isn't gonna move the needle. Even more people, as a majority, believe that, and I say this as the biggest fan of President Trump, someone who's just spent his last decade plus working every day for America first, that he can get it wrong. He did endorse Mitch McConnell. Of all the greatness of President Trump, he has a Achilles heel when it comes to personnel. But look, we're not going to let our kids go in the hands of Lindsey Graham. That's not the going away gift for President Trump in a couple of years, to leave South Carolina with that warmonger. And it ends today. And we're going to take all this work that we were able to do, getting him in, getting Project 2025. I was the architect of Project 2025. And that was born really in response to people like Lindsey Graham. He's the endless war, endless government, endless spending guy. And we're about God, family, and country.
Amazing. Yeah, Project 2025, let's talk about that, behind you. I mean, here's something where that's a controversial issue, right? It's a controversial issue. It has some critics from the right, and it has, of course, the left thinks it's, the evil fascist plan incarnate. And in reality, as we've said on the show, this was a bunch of people, many of whom are in the administration now, who were banding together with ideas to really return power to the people. But that has its critics on right and left. So what do you say to them?
Well, the proof's in the pudding. President Trump had the greatest 180 days in large measure because thousands of patriots came together. I led them. I kind of created this based on my own experience as an outsider going into Washington and seeing how do we even make change here? And what we were able to do is take all this good work and put it in one place, centralize it. And now the administration's been able to operationalize that on a daily basis. Like the libs were right. It is existential threat to the deep state. That's exactly what we meant. We said, J'accuse, we're coming after you. And we put the source code to the deep state online. And they lost their minds. People on our side, I think they got a little confused or a little bit competitive about it. But to be clear, our side was 110 conservative groups coming together under the auspices of the Heritage Foundation. We used that great organization's convening power to basically say, look, we agree about 70% of the stuff. Let's stop arguing about the 30 and help someone the next time he or she's in power to move out day one. And the result's been fantastic. So look, this race is far from finished. We have, fought the good fight, but right now we know where the choke point is, and that's the United States Senate. And President Trump needs advocates like myself who are going to be able to move out day one, understand the policy, understand who the controlled opposition like Lindsey Graham are, and get things done.
So with that in mind, let's dive into that a little bit deeper, because we are all about taking down the deep state here on this show. So what does draining the swamp actually look like in the Senate right now?
Well, sure. With what we put forward, and this was based on my experience. I'm an attorney. I worked for 20 years. I was a true believer. I went to MIT undergrad and the University of Virginia the School of Law. But even when I came into the government, I was unprepared. I was like, these guys in Washington, they play their own game and they hate outsiders. That's the first thing you realize when you look at the Senate. It's a club, right? Like these guys are basically doing the same thing year in, year out. I play varsity sports, right? And what we used to do is sometimes switch jerseys, scrimmaging. That's what they essentially do, but they're always on the same team. And so that's that uniparty element. And we have to come in with people who've led, like I have, the movement and say, no, we're doing it this way. This is what the president wants. I don't care what the bad press you're going to write. I don't care all the caffawing that the libs are going to do and the crocodile tears. We're moving forward. We're going to actually cut the budget like the way we said with Doge. We're going to do meaningful stuff. And once you have that courage to lead, people follow. In my experience, I went into OPM and everyone was sitting around. And I said, why are all these careers running the joint? We should be in power. So I removed 4 of the 5 that sat right underneath the director. And there was a large outcry. And then it settled down and everyone realized this is how it was under Reagan. This is how it always was supposed to be. Like they've built a great government for us. Our ancestors have. We just need to get back to its roots. We have to do some major constitutional renovation of the place and get this in tip-top shape for the 250th birthday. And I'm going to do that. This is Project 2026. Project 2025 was birthed right here in Charleston at my kitchen counter 2 years ago. It went global. And this is the next move. We're gonna make this country great again, but we're going to start at the headwaters of the swamp in the U.S. Senate.
Well, Paul, you're speaking a lot of my love language here. When you talk about political will, being the way forward and not caring. I mean, the Senate, as you know, is the exact opposite of that. It is the choke point. It is the place where good ideas go to die. And here's the frustration I think that so many people have. It's that no matter what, it felt like for years, we're just seeing some signs it could change now. But for years, it felt like there's just nothing you could do to get these fake Republicans the hell out of there, right? And they have, they've been there a while. They have a lot of resources at their command, right? And it feels so hopeless. I think just now people are starting to wake up and say, hey, wait a minute. We might be able to get rid of Cornyn in Texas. We could get rid of some of these people. And certainly the base is there. So my question would be, though, so what's the path in South Carolina? Because a lot of people, they know who Lindsey Graham is, and they don't like him anymore, and they realize what he stands for, and it's not what they stand for. But yet, people throw up their hands and say, well, how do you win against these guys? They keep on winning. How do you do that in South Carolina?
Well, there's two things, and we can get them done. Number one is courage, right? I learned this when I went into the admin as an outsider, and I saw people kind of cowering around. I'm a lawyer. I'm a problem solver from MIT. I'm maybe a little dense because I played, lacrosse, and I would play the tack, and I just went to the goal. You always have to be on offense. But more than that, you have to have courage. As Steve Bannon often will say, that's the virtue upon which everything else rests. Without courage, as St. Paul reminds us, we have to be bold. We have to go out and do it. And then two, people, it's a money thing. Look, Lindsey has 15 to 20 million. If we want to make this happen, we have to come together as patriots. I'm lining up this case. We're going to prosecute it against Lindsey. This is going to happen. I really call on all those patriots who've been, blessed by God to really have these resources. Check us out. We're at pauldans.com. Support this campaign. You're going to see a lot of very interesting stuff come out about Lindsey Graham. And, we are going to do this in an economical way, sure, the same way we want to run government. We're going to really bring government down the hill. But this all happened because a few of us stood up and said, we don't accept the status quo. We're not buying this anymore. And that isn't even the law. And that's what we need to do.
Paul, already a savvy media veteran, giving out the website. Give it to us one more time for people.
Well, it's my name. It's Paul Dans, DANS.com. We're launching tomorrow in Charleston. We'll have a live feed on. You can access that through our website. And we're going to start with a prayer service in St. Michael's Church. That's where some of the greatest patriots in our country, Charles Pinckney and John Rutledge, two of the signers of the Constitution, are in their eternal rest in that very church yard. But, the patriots here are getting restless. There's a groundswell here in South Carolina. I want everyone to send prayers. This is a real movement. The man upstairs is in charge of this one. And, I am called to do this. I feel like I don't have any choice. I have 4 kids. This is a future. This is a country that gave my family everything, and I'm giving back, and this is going to happen. So rest easy, patriots, but we got to put our shoulder into the wheel this next year. And I appreciate everyone's support.
Paul Dans, thanks so much. We'll be watching.
Thank you both.